I'm not debating the merits of, I'm not debating the merits of if you're duly elected. You are duly elected, and you got 166 votes, correct? The residents have spoken, there's no issue with that, right? What I'm telling you is, at the end of the day, this is not a regular council meeting, this is a special council meeting.
I am aware.
Right, and that's what the meeting is about. It's in relation to personal matters, and this meeting is gonna be closed session right out the gate.
And I am an elected official, and I've been sworn in, so I
Right.
will be sitting for that.
So, we can do that if you'd like, so if you guys wanna go ahead and, we can open the meeting up at, 10:06.
May I make a motion, please?
Depending on what
I'm
we're,
sorry?
depending on what we're looking at, we need to go ahead with opening up the motion, opening up the
I would like
meeting
to
at a
make a
certain
motion
time.
to appoint Brian Dusher as mayor.
Well, that's an organizational meeting is what you're looking at there.
No, that can be done at any meeting.
Okay, that cannot be done at any meeting, that's an organizational meeting, period, end of story. What I'm gonna say to you guys at this point here is, at the end of the day, if this is where this meeting is going, I got no problem, at an organizational meeting, you can make whatever decision you wanna make, that much is clear. But this is not an organizational meeting, so that motion is out of order. So we will not even entertain it in terms of voting on this.
You have a motion on the floor and you have to
What I'm
acknowledge
gonna,
it.
what I'm gonna say to you is, we haven't even opened the meeting yet in terms of the time, we haven't even accepted.
You did open the meeting already.
Brian, I'm not gonna have that discussion with you at this point.
I
I'm not gonna have that discussion with you,
10:06, you open the meeting,
okay?
and I asked to make a motion, and I did.
So,
And I will within my rights to do so.
I know you're well within your rights to do so, but this is not an organizational meeting, and we're not gonna be doing what you're suggesting. Okay? That's not what we're, that's
There's a
not what we're
motion on
doing.
the floor and you
Okay.
have to address it.
Okay?
You're not, because it's your opinion, it's the way it's made, the way the idea.
I'm not here to debate this in front of you.
Okay, then if you're not going to debate it, then let's have it carried
What I'm
on.
suggesting to you is, at the end of the day, this is not an organizational meeting, so the motion is out of order to begin with. So we're not intervening in the
No, it's
motion.
not.
That motion, bring it forward on February 21st at the organizational meeting that has been scheduled.
I am not
Then
being
you'll-
notified of that scheduled meeting.
Hang
I
on
was
for
not
a
even
second.
notified of this meeting.
Hang on for a second here, right? So, the minutes in relation to that has not been approved yet, we're looking at, I think it was October. It's and this was carried by council by, just so you know, moved by Wood Herrick, that the, oh, actually, hang on, that's the wrong one here. Okay, this is in regards to dates, times, and locations of meetings. Moved by Wood Herrick that council instruct administration to continue policy and priorities in regular council meetings on the third Monday of every month. That's one, that's carried. Resolution moved by Lee that council instruct administration to set a policy and priorities meeting on the third Monday of every month at 9:30 in the morning, to be followed by regular council meetings to commence at 1 p.m. on the same day. That again was carried.
I have no copy of those minutes
These are, like I said, these are in draft form,
from October.
minutes, right? These are in draft form. At the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that this is what council agreed to at that point. So you're looking at a regular council meeting for an organizational meeting, that is February 21st, 2023. That's when that's gonna happen.
My motion still sits on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, your motion is out of order, and I'm gonna rule it that way because your motion is not proper for this particular meeting. Your motion will be proper for February 21st, and if you want Brian Dusher as the mayor then the votes will go where the votes go.
No, they weren't effective today.
Well, I'm not gonna go into that.
You don't have an option.
Well, that's your interpretation, Brian.
There is a motion on the floor and you have to deal with it.
Brian,
And not by saying it's
Brian,
not
that
gonna
is
be
your
entertained.
interpretation, because at the end of the day, I've already ruled that
Okay.
motion out of order, because that motion cannot be brought into this. That is not something that we'll be dealing with today. We're
We
dealing with
are
that.
dealing with that today. We're not going to deal with
doing
this.
that. We're not gonna be doing what you're suggesting. If at the end of the day, what I will do is I'll adjourn the meeting and then we'll talk to municipal affairs, we'll go forward. Because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna have you bring an agenda in here that does not square with what's
Because
happening.
you didn't wanna put it on the agenda. It was asked to be put
This
on
is
the.
a special meeting of
You can,
council.
it
This is
doesn't
not-
matter.
This is not a regular meeting.
I totally understand that, but you
So-
you took it upon yourself not to put it on the agenda. And there's three
You
councilors here that would like to. add this in.
you said in your email, I'd like to add these things to the agenda,
Yeah,
right? And at the end of the day, we're not adding those to the agenda at this point. Those are valid things that needs to be done. You've already said,
Okay.
Councillor, Nicole has been sworn in, so that's one of your issues right there. You said she's sworn in. I'm not debating whether or not she's sworn in. I'm accepting what I see in front of me that's sworn in, right? At the end of the day, what we're looking at here is we're gonna be looking towards adjourning this meeting, and we're gonna be talking to municipal affairs about the path forward, because you do not currently have a CAO appointed in the village of Ryley, and that was the purpose of today.
that was, you never told us any of that. You didn't
I-
even take the nerve and tell us that the CAO had resigned. You did not.
I'm not debating personal matters with you at this point.
That's not personal matters, that's council matters.
What I ended up finding out is that, yes, the CAO had resigned based on what had occurred in this office. And that's as far as I'm going with that. At the end of the day, things have to be done in a certain order. The motion will absolutely stand on the 21st of February, no problem. Because that's when it's a reasonable time, right? Well,
It stands today.
I'm gonna adjourn the meeting and, we're gonna go forward.
And do what?
I'm gonna be talking to municipal affairs because this is a completely inappropriate, turn of events that you seem to have orchestrated. And at the end of the day,
You have orchestrated?
what you have to understand.
Be careful what you say.
What you have to understand is, in order for us to move forward, you need to have a CAO in place.
And we're gonna nominate, vote in another CAO that you have put in place.
And we're not doing any of that. That was a discussion for today. Then you make your decisions, then you get things in place so you can get, I was not aware that, Ms. Nicola had been sworn in. And at the end of the day, these are issues that need to be dealt with properly in order. You cannot do certain things in terms of meetings without CAOs and all that types of things in place, so.
Well, you seem
I'm
to
not,
be doing a
I'm
lot of things without CAOs
I'm
in
not going
place.
there, Brian.
No, it's
We're not
your
gonna we're not gonna make a misstep here. So what I'm gonna suggest here is that, at the end of the day, we're gonna go home and we're gonna turn this off. This meeting is adjourned.
Before the meeting is adjourned, before you're adjourned, was a recording secretary appointed to this meeting? Who's taking notes?
Nola Herrick here is taking notes as we go.
Was she appointed?
At the end of the day, there are certain things that you can do without a CAO present. That is one of those.
No, I know, but was she appointed recording secretary at the beginning of the meeting? I don't believe.
I clarified this with our lawyer and I clarified this with
No,
municipal
I'm asking.
affairs, and any councillor can take the minutes.
But
I
you
know.
didn't put it
Right?
out there at the beginning of the meeting
Was she-
that she was appointed.
Like I said, the meeting's adjourned. We're not gonna have this discussion because this is gonna degenerate into something it obviously should not be.
Was not a
And,
discussion, was
we're
a
gonna
yes
go
or no
forward.
question.
Okay?
And with the motion left on the floor, can it not be taken to a vote?
Yeah, like I already said to you, it's ruled improper, so that motion is not going
Says
forward.
you.
Right.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
yeah. See, it's whatever he says.
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't believe a meeting can be adjourned without.
Without you guys raising your hand.
Well, the last bunch of meetings that we've had, and the minutes show it, that once the meeting is adjourned, everybody's done, there's no vote
It
required
wasn't
on that.
adjourned. You said so, but your
I said-
council did not
I'm
agree
not
to that.
debating this with you, Debbie,
Well, Nick, you have to know, if you know the law so well, and you know your place and the governance of the MGA, then you must acknowledge that you are not the sole person to call the meeting out over. You have a council here that makes a motion for that. That's the rule.
I understand, and that's your interpretation.
Well, you haven't had that. It's not my
That's your
interpretation.
interpretation
It's
of
the
facts,
MGA.
right?
Look it up.
At the end of the day, what we've got before us right now is a situation where.
That you don't wanna deal with.
Did I say I don't wanna deal with
No,
this?
I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
Give me a break.
So there's still a motion on the floor,
There
as far as
is-
I'm concerned.
There is a motion that is improper at this point, and that what I said to you and what I said to everyone else, and that was within earshot here, is we're gonna get further direction through municipal affairs on it, and that's where it's gonna go, right? So,
Don't have to point at me. I know I'm here.
Yeah, improper by you, and that's, what a waste.
Well, if the three.
Can I ask a question? Is somebody else gonna sit in on that phone call to municipal affairs?
Thank you, Karen.
that is something that would be up to the minister, deputy minister, or something
No,
like
it's
that.
up to
No,
you.
not at all.
You can phone up municipal affairs, you can phone up municipal affairs,
Could you
I
please
can phone
refrain
up,
from pointing at the
I can
residents?
phone up municipal affairs, you yourself can phone up the municipal
I
affairs.
will sit here while
right?
you call them, and I think the rest of the residents will as
And
well.
I am not phoning municipal affairs right now.
Why not?
I am talking to legal counsel, and I'm talking to
Why?
municipal
No,
affairs. at
Legal
that point.
counsel
You-
should
the
be
legal
talked to
counsel?
by
No.
full
You do
counsel.
not speak to legal counsel anymore.
No.
It's fine.
We are being charged enough by people, by the mayor and the deputy mayor continually going to the legal counsel without authorization.
Again, that again is your interpretation of what.
Yeah, I know it, well, that's fine, it's my interpretation. It's also
We'll
the
go,
MGA.
we'll go into what we need to do here, and, at the end of the day, this meeting for purposes of today is adjourned.
But you have left a motion
On the floor.
Okay?
He's left them.
And I already told you that that motion, at the end of the day, was improper for the purposes of today's meeting.
And that's your interpretation.
That is very true.
That is
But at the end of the day, I'm the chair of the meeting, and if at the end of the day, I rule it out of order, that's where it's at.
But you didn't
If
answer my
municipal, if
question.
municipal affairs comes back and gives a different interpretation, then we live with that.
That gets me back to my original question. Are the full council able, are they gonna sit in on the conversation that you have with municipal affairs?
More than likely, that's what's gonna happen, because that's what I'm gonna be asking for municipal affairs, to have a situation where the full council can speak to them to understand where things are at.
Why not phone them right now?
Yeah, we'll wait.
Go into the office with everybody and phone them right now.
At the end of the day, Jason, what I'm dealing with right now is I am gonna deal with it.
What you're dealing with? You mean the residents of this village and the rest of council, we're all dealing with it.
That's fine.
You think you're the only person that's important in and around here?
Nobody
You're
ever
not.
said that.
You
Nobody
need to
ever said that.
resign. You are a
Nobody ever
complete and
said
utter
that, right?
disgrace.
So, you may get your wish anyhow, right?
Good, I hope you do
So, there
resign.
go.
I hope you do it sooner than later, like right now.
Do you
Thank
think
you.
anything's gonna change within the time period from now to the when the motion can be made and carried? Do
No,
you think
nothing.
anything you can do at this point in your life can actually change what you've already?
The
messed
answer,
up?
the answer to that is no.
Well, there you go, so why don't we just get on with
The
it?
answer to that is no.
Just quit right now and let the rest of the people get on
You
with
know
it.
what? A normal person in this kind of situation would step down because they would know, I failed, and we need somebody else to come in there and take
No
over.
confidence.
But you don't get it.
Again, I'm not gonna entertain this, I'm sorry. I'm
I don't
not
care if you want to
entertaining
entertain
this.
it.
Good, tuck tail and run, buddy. Tuck tail and run. Go hide.
What
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
concerned
go down
with,
the road.
You're gonna wink at me some more? Go on, get out of here.
We didn't want to.
You
entertain
utter
what you did to the
disgrace.
Two people in the office here either, but we had to, didn't we?
Sorry?
We didn't want to entertain what happened here in the village office with the two good employees we had either, did we? Nobody wanted to entertain that except you.
Again, what I'm
I
gonna
think
suggest
this
to
council
you is
needs to step up
you're
and say something.
you're speaking about an employment matter that,
You're
at
not-
the end of the day, was within the CAO's purview.
Yeah, she was
But
the original
well, you
legitimate
do not
CEO.
wanna go there, Nick, I'll tell you that right now. You don't,
I'm
do
not
not go there.
having this discussion.
Because you give instructions to her and you give her the letters to sign.
And you can prove that?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Excuse me? If a citizen made a witness phone call, would you accept that?
What I'm saying,
That
what I'm saying to you, Fred, at the end of the day, this,
Say it now, not at the end of the day.
It's the beginning of the day.
I'm done. I'm not,
You're right, you are done.
No, can you address my question, please?
what I'm saying to you is, at the end of the day, that's a figure of speech, not the end of the day.
Excuse me, my question,
So,
please.
I'm answering your question. When we get this instructions from municipal affairs as to how to proceed with this, we will go.
But
At
do
the,
you
at the end of,
feel a citizen's request and answer to their question would be different than the one you get?
absolutely not, it should be the same.
So would you accept a citizen's witnessed phone call requesting an answer to that question?
I'm gonna accept what I hear from municipal affairs,
With other people around.
right, in the presence of
Who's
our
on the
council,
phone right now?
I will accept that.
I'm
Right?
available right now.
And at the end of the day,
I'll get the number.
at the end of the day, what we're looking at is the regularly scheduled meeting is the third Monday of every month.
I'm
That is
concerned.
when you have an
No, we're
organizational
not discussing
meeting.
that.
I'm sorry,
Right.
February
Discussing this
21st is a
question.
holiday, so.
Actually, no,
It's
it's
family
not,
day.
it's not.
No.
Because if that's the day that they had put forward in the last, I think in October, I think it was in there, where there was some discussion as to the meeting normally happens on a Monday, and I don't have my calendar in front of me, but
Council can change.
I believe
anything they want.
Family Day occurred on the Monday, and because of the Monday, we went to the next day, which is the 21st. So that is where the meeting is set at this point.
So I have one thing to say. So you say this meeting's on the third, when is this meeting supposed to take place?
Our regular scheduled council meetings are on the third Monday of every month.
So when
remember
would
that
it,
right,
when
right,
would
Noah?
this take place? February?
That's the third Monday.
Do you know how much damage you can do between now and that time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that we need to get, one of the things that we need to have happen is we need to have a CAO put in place. That's what has to happen.
You would have,
Right.
you would include council in the
Right.
election of your CAOs, not just your pick.
Were you guys not here in the election of the CAOs? Were you guys not here with all of the
Not
resumes?
disputing that at all.
Were you not provided?
But not all of the information, no. Your relationship to the last CAO.
My relationship to the last CAO.
Anyways, that doesn't matter.
Wow.
So do we need to schedule a video conference in with municipal affairs?
As soon as we can get that set up, I would think that that's the best course of action to do.
And
Or-
we'll have it here?
Or the other option is head right down to municipal affairs and talk to them. That's another
Cost
option.
more money, mileage. Oh, you don't care.
Well, it's easy to Zoom.
Or Zoom, whatever, I said, like,
Yeah,
it
with
is
Zoom.
what it is, right? So,
So,
Will that be open to the public?
again, that's at the discretion of municipal affairs. I can't tell them how to run their meeting.
As
That's-
far as
I
council is
just-
concerned, council?
Sorry?
As far as council is concerned?
No, I'd like it to be open, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have to go through the chair, there's no meeting in place for council.
yes,
Well, I don't see
absolutely.
an issue with that, like, if that's what municipal affairs will entertain, that's not an issue there. No, so.
so as the meeting doesn't have a motion to adjourn, if you leave the meeting, then who's gonna take over?
We have not had motions to adjourn for a long time in this council chambers, there is no motion that's needed for that. It's the meeting's adjourned, and that's the practice that we've been through in the
So
last.
you just end the meeting whenever you feel like it?
No, when the business of the, when the business of the meeting is
That's
done.
what you did today.
And,
It's a special meeting?
yes,
With personnel matters?
yes,
This is a personnel matter.
this is not a personnel matter, because what you're
When our
suggesting,
personnel aren't staying
I'm
here,
not
you're not
arguing with you,
entertaining my
Councillor.
voice as a counselor now.
I am not saying
You're not
yay
entertaining
or
my
nay.
voice as an elected official.
What I'm saying to
What
you
I'm
is,
saying is, this is a personnel matter where we cannot keep a CAO. We have gone through 5 in the last 15 months.
absolutely,
There is an issue,
there is an issue.
yes, and I put
Right.
a motion on the table.
And at the end of the day, you have to have a CAO in place
No, you
before you're doing what you're suggesting you're
No, you
doing.
don't.
I'm not
Absolutely
doing
not.
that. I'm not doing that.
But
So,
yes, of course you don't wanna do that.
again,
Then take a vote.
why would I take a vote for something that the legality of it is in question right
Make an exception.
now? You make an
Why don't you
exception.
make an exception?
You make an exception to do something that you don't know the legality of. Let me follow you on that one,
Who has the number for municipal affairs?
okay?
Call them right now.
Actually, not on you.
This meeting,
Ryan will get it for us.
we've already discussed that we're gonna be talking to municipal affairs. We've
I'm
already
director right
discussed,
now. I'm available, I've taken time off my job to come here today.
Yeah.
For a meeting I was not advised that was happening.
you're talking about, you guys are talking about secrecy and everything. Where was the rest of the council?
Oh my God.
He couldn't even say it with a straight
Give
face.
you a break.
To council as a whole, did you actually, not adopt, but did you decide that you would follow Robert's rules? I know you don't have to. But did you have a motion in place?
The answer to that, as best of my recollection is that there is no, motion like that.
Okay, I mean, you don't have to as a council, but
Yeah, I
I mean,
know.
there's protocol to follow, right, Robert's rules?
Well, it normally keeps meetings from degenerating into what this is.
Well, it's a matter of adjournment. I mean, there's been procedural things when you talk, I spoke to you a number of times of, for example, calling for a recorded vote after.
Oh, Lucian.
And I know you did it after.
Okay, we have a little problem here in council.
But this matter of adjournment.
The problem is, there's a motion made,
By
a
looking at
meeting,
Robert's
a special meeting was called,
Well, it's not. because
and, there were a couple items that
This
we asked
meeting
to be
has
added
been
to the
looked at
meeting,
in the way that it
and the
should.
mayor has said no.
There are certain things that need to
When
be
we got to the council
place.
meeting,
There's
we
certain-
asked
there's-
for
Check
in,
Robert's rules, that's all I'm
counselor.
saying.
Fred,
So we have
I'm not
five
talking
counselors.
about this meeting.
And one of the counselors made a motion
It's not as a
Even though
procedure.
it was,
You know,
special
you and I
meeting,
have discussed
to have our mayor
procedural
removed.
missteps that are taking place.
And he's saying that it's
And I saw
improper.
them occur again after that. And case in point, calling for
Yeah,
a recorded
he
vote
is-
after the vote.
A new mayor has been, voted in, or not voted in, but has been, a motion was made to have a new mayor.
You need to, Brian, you need to indicate to that person that this is not a organizational
Okay,
meeting.
know that if you were listening,
Right.
he said it was a special meeting.
Right,
Who's listening?
yeah.
My fault.
There you go.
Yes.
Special meeting or not, council could decide to take on this regardless.
Council
Special
also
meeting,
didn't
whatever
approve the
meeting
agenda.
is appointed.
No, he did not even ask, if there are any additions to the agenda.
That's true, he didn't.
Lucian, would you like to repeat that, please?
So, a special, I'll read it to you right from what it says in the act. 194, 197, let me just find it here. Section 194, subsection 5, no matter other than that stated in the notice calling the special council meeting may be transacted at the meeting unless the whole council is present at the meeting and the council agrees to deal with the matter in question.
So we can make that motion, and the other thing is that when we talk about the special meeting, there was no notice to the public at all, although it had been called on Monday of this week.
So, special council meeting may be held with less than 24 hours notice to all councilors and without notice to the public if at least 2/3 of the whole council agrees to this in writing before the beginning of the meeting.
That's correct. Yeah,
194 subsection 4.
yeah.
When a motion is made, is the mayor allowed to decline that motion? Because the motion was made.
There was
Change.
no additions or there was no ask of additions or deletions to the meeting. And so one of the councillors decided to make a motion to have me, Brian, appointed as mayor. And the mayor, the present mayor that is here, is saying that that's an out of order question.
Because
Was
with,
this, was the chairship of the chief elected official appointment, was that an item that was identified on the agenda?
no, it
They
was
would
not.
not allow us.
No, it was not.
The mayor would not allow us to add anything to the agenda.
What you guys are attempting to do is an organizational meeting which is scheduled for February 21st. You put your motion on at February 21st and you get your votes, and if I'm removed as the mayor, that is how the vote will go. This meeting was scheduled to appoint a CAO, an interim CAO, which that is a part of the information that you haven't got so far. So, we've got a little bit of a situation here in relation to things being added onto a meeting that's a special meeting for personnel matters, which is to appoint an interim CAO. As you well know, the municipality needs to, in order for it to act, it needs a CAO in place. And that is what we don't have at the moment. So that was the purpose of the meeting.
We got there quite a few days without a CEO, when we were in between CEOs. So how does that work?
Again,
So, is there a question in there somewhere?
The question is, at the end of the day, what we wanted to do is to get back to speak to municipal affairs and make sure that they got all the facts in place. And if, once we've got the directions that we need, then we go forward with certain things. I have no issue with being replaced as the mayor of this village. And I don't think, at the end of the day, I don't think the deputy mayor has a concern about that either. At the end, what we're dealing with right now is we're dealing with appointing interim CAO. That's what we need to do. Then we call an organizational meeting, and then you move forward and you put things in place where you've got reporting secretaries and everything else in place. That is what. That's how I think is the normal way of doing this.
You said Nola was the secretary.
So.
Okay.
Can we,
Still didn't hear a question in there, but that's fine.
can we proceed with the motion? Or can the mayor, the motion was to appoint a new member of council as mayor.
So, let's back up a little bit. What is in your procedural bylaw about adding items to the agenda?
And this is just going off of memory here. When you got items presented to council, then they vote on it and they add items, whether or not they deal with that and they vote, and if they vote with enough votes, then the item is normally added. This meeting was not scheduled for the purposes of an organizational meeting. This meeting is scheduled to install an interim CAO so we can put a check mark in the checkbox and to meet our legislative requirement. That's what the purpose of this meeting is for. Right? Now, I understand that we've got a councillor that was purportedly sworn in, and in terms of the logistics of that, there's certain things that need to be done before, like the confidentiality agreements and different things for the village of Ryley that needs to be signed and put in place. Those are all things that needs to be done. Sheldon, you've done that, I've done that, Nola Herrick has done that, Brian Dusher has done that as well. What we've gone away from now is we're doing a procedure that's simply outside of council at this point, and that's where we need more direction from municipal affairs at this point. So that's where, I don't think there's a question that can be answered at this point. There's several questions that needs to be booked with some meetings.
What's in your procedural bylaw about
Adopting
adopting agendas?
agendas? The first thing that we normally have done, and I don't have the.
That's not what I,
Okay.
no.
Okay, I know what you're saying.
Please stop.
Yeah.
I'm not asking what you think, what you usually do. I'm asking what's in your procedural bylaw.
Well,
What does it say in your procedural bylaw about adopting the agenda?
well, the simple answer to that is we'd have to revert back to the procedural bylaw and give you a copy of that, and then we go from there. Because I don't think anybody here can quote that document chapter and verse. I don't think anybody can do
There's
that.
no
at this
copy
point.
in the building?
Germane to your question.
Right?
Okay. If you look at the word agenda in the Municipal Government Act, you will not find it.
Yep.
So it leaves that process of adopting agendas up to council. And the caveat to that is what I read to you from section 194.5, which says that no matter other than the notice, and stated in the notice may be discussed unless the whole council is present at the meeting and the council agrees to deal with the matter in question. So that's the one thing it does say about it.
Yeah.
Okay, but it says that organizational meeting, and for a municipality that selects their mayor from within, is something that you would do at an organizational meeting. It's a requirement of an organizational meeting. Is there, what, I wanna go back to that section too, where it talks about that. Let me just find it here.
What is the motion? We need to address this, just not the mayor.
Because it may say something, and let's see where it talks about appointing the chief elected official. Just bear with me for a minute here. Running a bit of a cold, so pardon for all the coffee. Okay, sections 150, 151, and 159. Let's take a look at that. Section 150, 151. Okay, section 159.1, this is what it says. A chief elected official who is to be appointed under section 150, that's the section that says if you're a village, do it from within, unless you have a bylaw. So a chief elected official who is appointed under section 150 must be appointed at each organizational meeting of the council unless otherwise provided by bylaw. So do you have a bylaw that says we're gonna do appointments other than at the organizational meeting? So again, that's section 159 sub 1. The term of office of an appointed chief elected official starts immediately with appointment and ends on the appointment of the next chief elected official. Okay, that doesn't help you. And
Yeah,
the term of office of-
Lucian, that does help a lot because of the fact that if council decides that they want to dismiss or relieve or change their mayor during any meeting, it can be done so. And what it means is
That's
that.
not how I read that section at all.
The way I read it,
Exactly.
what you're telling me then is that I could never, if we have a mayor that's not giving us what we expected from a mayor, that we can only change it once a year. Well, I just looked at, in the papers, and I looked at Gibbons, just did this exact same thing with their mayor. And,
We have a bylaw that allows for that,
Yeah.
and the town of Gibbons is a town, not a village.
There you go.
yeah, okay,
So it depends which bylaw, it depends what bylaw they have, in terms of what they have regarding about how the chief elected official is appointed. And and then there's the issue of whether the person that's the chief elected official is the chief elected official. There's the default setting for who chairs a meeting is the chief elected official, unless there's a bylaw in place that says somebody else is. So you can have a bylaw passed that says this one over here is the chair of the meeting, let's say deputy mayor. However, the mayor is still the mayor, even if they don't chair the meetings, but that's all by bylaw. So I would suggest you might wanna, collectively, I can't give you a direct interpretation of the act, but I can tell you which section to look at. And I would suggest you folks read section 159 carefully. Hello?
yeah, we're still here.
Okay.
Yeah, see, the issue with the elected mayor, yeah, okay, it's gotta go back to the policy and if we have one. So that's what we have, yeah.
Say that again?
We need to look at our policies with regards to that.
Well, it wouldn't be a policy, it would be a bylaw.
Bylaw, sorry. Bylaw.
How much of the public, can ask for this? If it's a public, if it's done from the public, from the residents?
I couldn't make that out, if that was the
Can
question.
you ask them?
Just a minute,
I'm asking if we've got a whole bunch of people sitting at this meeting, the residents of Ryley, and how much, what would we have to do if the public were to ask for this?
The public doesn't have any say in this matter.
It doesn't?
Does not.
The public cannot, address the council, and the council has to make a decision?
It depends what's in the procedural bylaw, but in the vast majority of procedural bylaws I've seen, the public is there to observe the proceeding. If they have an appointment with council as a delegation, then they have that time. If there is a quote-unquote open mic or some other process, then that part is held during that part of the meeting. Typically speaking, for a special council meeting, it is unlikely that there would be a portion that's an open mic to the public, but it could theoretically happen if you have the right bylaw in place.
Correct. Okay, so we definitely have to know what bylaw we have. Thank you.
Can an organizational meeting be called prior to the next meeting that is scheduled? Cause that's over a month away.
Can an organizational meeting be called at any point in time? By the majority of council?
The short answer is no.
Okay.
The longer answer is you have one per year.
If you have a new elected official.
You can't have 2 or 3 organizational meetings in the same year.
No.
That's not what the Act contemplates. The Act contemplates that prior to the, I believe it's 3rd Monday in October each year, you will have an organizational meeting.
Okay, I totally understand.
Post by-election. After a by-election.
And after a by-election.
No, said nothing about having an organizational meeting after a by-election.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions?
I'd like to just address the mayor. Mayor Lee, you seem like a pretty smart guy. I think you can tell from the votes, the people on council and the people in this room, regardless of all these bylaws and whatever else is in this governance, I think you should just step down. Would be the right thing.
I think now- And I thank you for your comment.
Okay, Lucian, thank you very much.
Okay, so
Really appreciate it.
Not a problem, happy to help.
Okay, bye.
all right, so
We got the bylaw.
absolutely.
We need to schedule a Zoom meeting with municipal affairs.
Yeah, we can do that too. Once we get, well, first of all, I think we need to do our bylaws.
Yep.
See what our bylaws say, and then we proceed with that.
Can we do that now?
Sure. You probably know where the bylaws are kept, or if we can get in there.
I can do it.
Okay.
Lorraine,
Yeah.
what I'm gonna suggest to you is you're not an employee,
No, I'm not saying she is.
and, I just wanna put that on the record.
Okay, put her down.
She's
Put her down.
just pointing.
She's a resident, she's not administration.
And for that reason, she should not be doing what she's doing right
She's a
now.
counselor.
Okay? Alright? Oh, I'm having a good day, I'm taking off.
Nick, I have a question.
Yep,
So you called a special meeting
Yep.
for personnel issues.
yep.
Can any one of the counselors request a special meeting to remove you as mayor? Like,
You
it
just had that,
no, but I
question
mean,
answered.
yeah, I know it has to be organizational,
Right,
but if the public is very concerned about what's happening,
yeah.
isn't that like municipal affairs assisting us and requesting a special meeting?
Yeah. And that's what you just had,
She
you
has a
had
hard
that
time hearing, so
conversation.
that's why she's just asking.
Right,
Yeah,
and you had that conversation there with, Lucian, I think his name was.
yeah, Lucy.
He has got the information, and if you want wanna book some time with him, I would imagine, then you get the, you go forward.
Okay.
Alright?
And then,
They can give you probably documents and everything else that you can actually refer back to.
excellent.
I have a question, on it. You during a meeting, I think, prior to a very important order of business being taken care of, then we have no CAOs, wasn't that not the purpose of this meeting?
Is that what we're having right now?
No, was that the purpose of the special meeting that is not
You betcha. Is that what we're having right now?
what we're having?
Yes.
What do you-
Is this that special meeting that we're having right now, to appoint
No, the special meeting is over, Chair.
Right.
Was that not,
We can reschedule it.
no, I'm asking, was that the
For
order of
when,
business?
because I have a job I have to do,
Is that
and I
right,
took
that,
off time for this.
Well, what I will tell you is, you'll get the information and.
Brenda, we know that it's not over.
Is it
I'm
correct
done.
that in 2021, they put in a law about recall?
I
That the-
believe that is, I
that
believe
the-
that's correct.
That the members of the village can vote on and remove you completely from council?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just, your days are numbered, right? So, I mean,
Is that
or why
correct?
don't you just,
Is that correct?
no, you should know that because that's what, you know, you're not a late lawyer, so quit trying to be one.
What I find amazing about this, Morley,
Yeah.
and to be quite frank,
Yeah,
you're coming at me from an employment standpoint.
I'm not employed by you.
No, you phoned me up a few days ago and you cussed me out based on the fact that your wife was terminated by the CAO. I had nothing to do with that. At the end of the day,
End of the day.
coming to a conclusion is something that you can't prove is a totally different issue, right? So, you two have a good day.
Can we have some information on this appointment of the CAO we plan to have today?
We will go ahead and we will reschedule that because that's not what's happening here.
Well, you have all of your council here
Just
that
going
could
to
have
camera.
changed the special meeting into a normal meeting that you could have dealt with all this because all the meetings was supposed to carry on. That's what I heard from municipal affairs.
Before anyone leaves, would any council mind if people stuck around for a bit just to debrief? Is anyone staying? Because we don't have keys, but
No.
and this is our house.
I don't have a problem.
Does anybody want to just rehash what went on?
Sure. That's why we're all here, right?
I could, not in there, I couldn't, it's not in Regent's here, but I do know that. We should be able to, one second.
To know, what the process is for letting the public know what is on the agenda, when it is.
That was
Are
supposed
we
to be,
notified?
okay, that was supposed to be put out. Even though it's a special meeting, there was lots of time, it wasn't less than 24 hours.